welcome to the SVG TV news for today, Monday, December 19th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has dismissed the notion that there is a connection between poverty and crime. On radio on Sunday, Prime Minister Gonsalves said if this was the case, there would have been more crimes back then than today, and that the element of choice has to be considered.
Poverty then than now, far more. And the opportunities were more constricted then, far more than now. Look, the mature, insightful criminologists will tell you the following things. That the typical individual who gets involved in serious crime, and not that this is in the Caribbean, it's North America, it's in Europe, it's in Asia. The typical person who gets involved in serious crime, and I'm not coming now yet to violent crimes, are persons who, young persons who are males predominantly, who have lower levels of educational attainment than their colleagues, who come from either dysfunctional homes or homes without two parents, particularly a father figure, helping to guide, who may come from a community in which there may be a localized culture of criminal activity. And then, of course, people go to crimes, particularly those involving drugs, as a matter of choice. When they deal with property, if they go and break in, they do those things as a matter of choice, just like how they go about with drugs as a matter of choice, coming from an issue touching on concerning greed. These are the simple. This is what the research has shown.
Noting that tackling crime should be everyone's business, PM Gonsalves says they have to ensure adequate policing and be vigilant at the various ports of entry, and that his government has been taking steps in this regard, including boosting the capacity of the RSVG police.
Invest in it, invest in scanners at the ports. We have in the budget monies for scanners to do our job better. The question of a court system which is independent and a good set of laws relating to firearms and the like, and generally speaking, dealing with crime and punishment. Now, in the case of the police force, just the police force itself, I'm not talking about Coast Guard, I'm not talking about fire. It was, you had in 2001 less than 600, 500 something police. Now you have about 1,200. Happy, John?
Yeah.
They're better trained, they're better equipped in every way. We have an additional 52 inside the budget for this year. The average number for a police force, all things being equal across the world, for every 10,000 every 10,000 persons, every 1,000 persons, two police officers. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that would have amounted to 2,200, to 220 police officers. Yeah, but we have 1,200. An increase in
recent gun haul. PM Gonsalves says the police and customs department did a splendid job and they must be commended. And leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, in an address to the nation last Thursday, says one of the most pressing problems facing the country is what he describes as the epidemic of crimes sweeping the island.
Though the powers that be dismiss these threats and incidents as being restricted to a small group of people, recent events bring home to us this stark reality. Anyone, at any time, can be collateral damage in these reckless shootouts. The hail of bullets that several weeks ago resulted in the deaths of 2 young men and the wounding of several others in the Kingston area shows that the problem is getting worse, not better. And the risk to everyone is increasing. So, the youngster enjoying a football game at the park, the nurse out for an evening with friends, the laborer going home after a hard day's work, or the churchgoer picking up groceries after church, none can take their surroundings for granted. Unfortunately, any of them could become an unintended victim because stray bullets don't know who they hit and they don't care who they kill. My friends, it does not have to be that way. As a country, a God-fearing country, we are better than that. And we do not have to accept living in that way. But government must act to make it better. However, the present government does not have the will, the moral authority, nor the competence to tackle the problem. They lack ideas and therefore they lack solutions.
Noting that crime affects everyone directly or indirectly, Dr. Friday says there is a need for more effective means to fight crime with a clear plan of action.
We must understand what gives rise to crime, then develop strategies and programs to address the problem. Accordingly, we call for the implementation of the following measures. First, we must focus on crime prevention. Remember, an ounce of prevention is still better than a pound of cure. We should therefore invest heavily up front in crime prevention. In this regard, the programs outlined in the NDP's Spiritual and Social Redemption Charter some years ago should be implemented because they're still relevant. The Charter promotes positive, community-oriented programs that would steer vulnerable young people away from crime towards socially positive behavior. We must restore trust and confidence in the police and the criminal justice system. Trust in the system now is shaken and broken. Political connections should not shield anyone involved in a shooting, a theft, domestic violence, or other crimes from proper investigation and rigorous prosecution. Justice must be equal for all. This will help everyone and will help the police in their work and their lives. They and their families, after all, are members of society and, like the rest of us, are equally vulnerable to crime and violence.
Friday said the country also needs a well-resourced and well-equipped criminal justice system, which involves reviewing and revising the criminal laws to provide greater sentencing options for magistrates and judges, promote the rehabilitation of offenders, and the police force must be professionalized and modernized. Tertiary and post-secondary education in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will see a lot more attention from the government next year, with a further injection of $42 million allocated in the 2023 budget. This from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who was addressing the unveiling of a mural at the Joshua Center at Arnesvale on Friday.
So the law which we passed recently in Parliament, completely changing the way in which we charge on the imputation of taxes. The ideas and the technical work came from the brains of a young son who works in the Ministry of Finance. We did the consultation and we put it in legal form, and Camilla took it to Parliament. You notice how all of these things, how they work and how they hang together. Her son is a national scholar. Of course, the numbers have increased tremendously. Next year, on tertiary education and post-secondary education, we're spending $42 million, which is more than we spend on hospital services, which is more than we spend on the police. Hospital services is close to 42 million, police is 41 point something, up, both of them up from last year. But that is the
Prime Minister commended the excellent work that was done at the center with the mural, noting that the artists involved should receive an honorarium.
When whenever guests from overseas come or when I'm going anywhere, I take artistic work as gifts, or I deliver artistic works as gifts. For instance, recently, Calvert Jones, on the basis of the commissioning done by the government, did a painting of Che Guevara and one of Raúl Castro's gifts to the President and the people of the Republic of Cuba. One also was given to the President's wife, one done by Dings Johnson, who's of an older generation. But there's a brand new generation of creative artists and so on, and we do work. We buy work from sculptors, and we need to do. Shanique speaks to the question of other sculptors and other forms of visual arts. There's one thing, Shanique. I heard you said that you've received sponsors, but I told Hans, I asked him if he has offered an honorarium to you and the girls. He said, not yet. I told him that Christmas is not too far away, and I don't think that National Properties can be so mean not to offer an honorarium. He asked me about what number. I tell him no, discuss that with Shanique and arrive at a number.
The mural at the Joshua Center was done by students of the Thomas Saunders Secondary School and teacher and founder of Bow Arts, Shanique Stewart. It was also done as a tribute to the late Ebenezer Theodore Joshua, who was SVG's chief minister from 1956 to 1967. In agriculture news, the Richland Park Primary School saw a large turnout of approximately 100 farmers at an information and awareness meeting held last Wednesday, December 14th, on the National Agriculture Crop Expansion Program. The building of a production platform with the rising demand for produce in light of the emerging markets was discussed. The meeting also saw the distribution of seeds to farmers. Commending the farmers for the well-attended session, Extension Officer Donawa Jackson said it is a demonstration of the commitment and trust they place in the Ministry of Agriculture.
We've been here is as a result of the Herculean task and the vision of the Minister of Agriculture, and want to craft a new way forward for the benefits of the farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we have the clear manifestation of that in a tangible way. Recent distribution of the urea to many farmers would have benefit, and we still have many things in store to be delivered to the farmers. So we will have done substantial amount of work within this particular district. We know this district is predominantly a dasheen growing area, and we have good results as a result of the work that would have been done.
Senior Agricultural Officer Mark Richards said for 2023, the Ministry of Agriculture plans to make strategic interventions to propel the agriculture industry.
Me great assurance that we are on the right path when it comes to agriculture. You feed the nation, and we appreciate that. And I, as the person responsible for the extension and advisory services, I want to let you know, and you know you have some very hard-working officers among you, and I wish to recommit and redouble not just our effort but our commitment in serving you, the farmers of this region. Region 2 is a pretty large region. It stretches from Lomans leeward right up to Provera and Vale. I know we have quite a bit of farmers in the area, but I want to commend you for being here this evening. And as I said, we recommit ourselves to serve you as the extension staff, and feel free. That's what we are here for. That's what we are paid for, to serve you.
Chief Agricultural Officer Renato Gums spoke to the farmers on marketing strategies and productivity.
Us to see all the initiatives of the government in a package. I don't want us to see them in isolation, because I want them to lead to one thing, which is us improving production and productivity. Mr. Richards mentioned it. I think if we want to be more competitive, we have to get our prices down slightly. And I mean, farmers ought to make money and want to make money, but also we want to make sure that we can offer consumers products at a reasonable price. So sometimes it hurt me when I compare the yield per acre of something in other countries to that in St. Vincent. And it's something I want my officers to focus on in the upcoming year, that we get productivity up, farmers make more money, but at least consumers get a cheaper product to buy, right? One of the things also, I just want to emphasize the importance of markets. People all complain that there's difficulty finding markets. There's going to be one of the push of the ministry in 2023. We're trying to address these issues because we are looking at expanding production. As the ministers call it a leap of faith. But I believe that we can actually market what we produce. Just that we have to be strategic and we have to be competitive.
We're still on the local scene here this evening. Traffic angels were dethroned as Western carolers swept almost all of the prizes in the annual Christmas caroling contest hosted by the SVG Police Force on Friday at the Central Police Station in Kingstown. Having won the competition in 2019 and 2020, the Traffic Angels were relegated to second place, while the Crime Busters placed third. Western carolers were also declared the winners for the Best Speech, Best Traditional, and Best Original Song categories. The Calico Police Youth Club was also dethroned by the Lay Police Youth Club in the junior category of the caroling competition. Second and third place positions were captured by the Chateaubriand Rose Hall and Spring Village Police Youth Clubs, respectively. The winners received trophies, cash, and other prizes for their efforts. Each participating group that did not place in the top three positions received a consolation prize. In his opening remarks, coordinator of the Police Christmas Caroling Committee, Assistant Superintendent of Police Junior Simmons, praised his colleagues for their efforts.
This is our 19th year. We began in 2003. And the reason why we're having this contest is to help to foster a better working relationship between the police and the public, and to showcase the talent of police officers. Because we are not just law enforcement officers. We are dramatists, we are singers, we are carpenters, we are jack of all trades. So tonight, we want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy what our choir.
Commissioner of Police Colin John said that the police caroling contest is held yearly to showcase the softer side of the police.
That throughout this year, we have had some challenging times. The murder rate is an issue for us. The other crimes, they are an issue for us. But we also have to concentrate on the preventative aspect of policing. And one aspect of preventative policing is by fostering a better relationship with the public. We have had several band concerts in different areas throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And from looking at those events, I have seen that the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they have had a good time. I know tonight that you always have an enjoyable time. I expect you to cheer for your team. I expect you to support your team.
The atmosphere at the caroling contest was electrifying, with performances from the 9 senior choirs and 10 junior choirs which participated in the event. Here's a snippet of the top 3 performances in the senior category of the competition.
Well, last caroling, we get a choir win. But this year, we want back everything. You see them are going like that big bad and boasting. Wait, and I hear about the photo and copy machine? Yes. Well, later on in the show, you will see what I mean. Herald angels sing out loud. Herald angels sing. 2 years ago, COVID come try stop traffic. We are tell you, say we not having it. The big people don't announce caroling time again. So I got it to fire.
2 years now we ain't get this thing called caroling. Oh yes. First, it was cause the dengue fever, then Lassa fire, and the deadly corona.
We have something for discuss. Have to spend the chili for the Christmas. We have something for discuss. Have to spend the message for the Christmas. We have something for discuss. Have to spend the message for the Christmas.
When Christmas come, police don't vex up. Vex up. They give it with sometimes it's play war. We don't want no merry from nobody. Just give me this small thing for the salary. What? Some of we say no man that's stress we. Stress we. Say we could only buy cotton and kiwi. Yesterday this ATM embarrassed me. Say we say move man, you don't have no money. I want a bonus, a Christmas bonus. We want a bonus, we don't asking you for too much. If we have bonus.
Here now is the top 3 juniors in the, that should be the top 3 in the junior category of the competition. In an effort to revive Christmas caroling in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Ministry of Culture held its first caroling event in the Botanical Gardens' 9 Nights of Lights on Saturday. As we hear in this report, the Culture Department is satisfied with the level of participation, which came mainly from government departments.
Nine participating groups brought their A-game to the Christmas caroling Saturday night at the 9 Nights of Lights. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and wife Eloise Gonsalves stopped by to witness the caroling, which has been reintroduced on a wider scale by the Ministry of Culture. Each team had 2 songs to perform, a Christmas song and an original composition. The caroling was not a competition, however, judging was done for best arrangement, which went to St. Vincent Building and Loan Association.
This is an institution with your best interests at heart.
And Loam being an indigenous institution, local, we're 80 years old, we thought that it would be a really good idea for us to be here where the people are because we're an institution for the people.
Best melody went to the Ministry of Mobilization.
And her husband, and we say hip hip. We are so excited.
Best crowd went to the Roads, Building and General Services Authority, RAGSA.
It was amazing. I've been recently made the president of the Braxa Sport and Culture Club. So this is my first experience in caroling totally. I don't be involved in caroling. But being the president, I had to take part in it. So I'm so proud of my group. It was amazing. I had a lot of fun. And I hope they get me back here next Christmas again.
Cultural Officer within the Ministry of Culture, Maxine Brown, says the objective of the event was met.
After a long period of COVID and all the ills that came with it, we chose to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and bring back the good old days. Why do we want to bring back the good old days? Because those days were good. And what the mandates of culture is to be community engaged. And this particular activity is the epitome of engagement and community oriented. And so we chose to bring it back because we want to engage the people. As you can see, everyone brought their best game and had fun.
Come next year, the competition element will be reintroduced. The Christmas caroling groups were the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Ministry of Mobilization, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, BRAGSA, Ministry of Tourism and Culture, the Kingstown Cooperative Credit Union, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College Performing Arts Society, Girls High School, and the SVG Building and Loan Association. The theme for this year's Christmas caroling competition was Spirits Lifted. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd, SVG TV News.
Inmates from Her Majesty's prisons entertained hundreds of persons at this year's prisons concert as they expressed themselves and showcased their talents. The concert culminates Prisons Week 2022. More in this report.
That is almost 6 years on remand. And if only I had listened, I would be here today.
They all have their stories to tell. Some inmates expressed themselves through songs at the prison concert, which was held under the theme Explosion After Eruption. The event, which was put on pause for 2 years, was supported by hundreds of persons last evening in the backyard of the courthouse.
I was given one more chance, my heart still beating.
Some prison inmates expressed regret for committing crimes which have them behind bars, as spending jail time, according to them, is no joke.
Sometimes I send a prayer to the Lord. You wonder if he may. The only thing I wish of is sadness, police lock me up on me, but if we shoot it like them, I try to garnish me career. I just need more see a
The concert wraps up Prisons Week's activities in SVG. Superintendent of Prison Timothy Hazelwood says prison inmates have hidden talents that are worth showcasing.
As some people have it, it's a place of condemnation, but it's not a place of condemnation. It is a place for you to reflect on the things that you do in order for you to start or restart a life. You're going to see the talent today. And I tell you, talent is behind that wall.
Larissa Pugsley-Kidd, SVG TV News.